Greetings friends, on this warm, bright and sunny day here. It is just beautiful to see how clear the sky is and how blue. Just look at it, it is just beautiful. I'm loving it. In the past couple days, the temperatures have been great and we've been able to get a number of things done here. And it's just like, woo, just spring fever. It's not quite spring yet, but it's just a few days away and I am loving it. Sporting my Amish hat here while I'm gonna be working out in the sun today. And this is actually a hat that I got during our time out at the Baker Creek farm in Missouri. Some time ago, we went to an Amish store, a real Amish store, and got a real Amish hat that I am wearing today. And Mike is wearing his too, and you'll see in just a minute. But today we're gonna be working together out in the garden. We have a number of garden beds to get ready. Pretty much the whole outside, wherever we've been growing things in the past, needs to get ready. We're kind of behind. So we've been really doing a number of things in the greenhouse to get it ready and things growing in there. But now we need to transition outside. We have Lacie's apothecary garden that needs to be prepped. We also have some areas in our permaculture orchard area where we're going to be growing some other things in that the chickens have really cleared out and have fertilized for us to be growing things in, so we really need to shape that up. But we got a lot to do in the market garden. We got some things to clean up, tarps to pull away. We got some unwanted plants to pull out of those beds. So we got our work cut out for us today. So let's get started. Hey, brother Micah. How are you? You ready to get some work done today, brother? Mm-hmm. All right. In no way am I disrespecting the Amish at all. I really do admire them and so many aspects of their life, including how they raise and work with their children. Well, we're here in the market garden, and these are some of the beds that we need to work on. Sayla's down there playing around with the broad fork yet. I haven't really told her exactly what we're doing, so hold on, Sayla. But we bought the chickens through here during the late fall, I believe. And they really helped with knocking some things down, and as you can see there's some remnants of their feathers, and there's also probably some manure in there too, so you might be touching some chicken poop right there, Micah. Well, it's been there quite a while now, and hopefully it should start breaking down even more into the soil and providing good nutrients here. Well, the first thing that we do in getting our garden beds prepped is to remove any of the unwanted plants and things that were there from previous. And there's a couple ways that you can go about doing that. One, you can use chickens. You can also use a flame weeder, which we're getting ready to use here in a minute. We use the Kelvin cultivator just to torch it out. But that really only works with taking out small plants, like things like some of this stuff here. So as they get bigger, like right behind Micah here, it's harder to get those out with the flame weeder. So, and using the chickens can take a longer time to kind of get your beds ready. So if you're in a time crunch, one of the best things to do is do it by hand or machine. So we're going to be using a number of tools here. We're going to be using a stirrup hoe, also called a scuffle hoe, to knock down some of these. But we'll also be using the Kelvin cultivator where I can. And then we'll have to use something like the broad fork to get some of those big ones out, like right there. Alrighty, we have the whole team here. We're all going to work together on this set of beds here, 4 rows here. So right here we have a stirrup hoe. Oh, are you wanting to use this stirrup hoe?
Yeah.
There you go. Well, that one can be yours. Sayla, I'm gonna let you have the honor of starting off with the broad fork today. Here is the broad fork for you.
Thank you.
Lacie, if you could use the stirrup hoe too.
Woohoo!
And Josiah, we have a stirrup hoe for you. Here you go. And what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be using my favorite tool, flame weeder. So what I'm thinking is, if you could go down this harder row here and start pulling out some of these big clumps with your broad fork. It's one of the benefits of broad fork. You can do so many different things with it. If you could do that and then load them into the gorilla cart here, we'll start transporting that up to the chickens. And then Lacie, if you could go through these rows right here where it has some of just the bigger pieces, or not many, just use a scuffle hole on that. Then I'm gonna come through with the flame weeder. And then Micah and Josiah, if you guys could just stir up hoe here, might be a couple beets you might find in there. These didn't do well because we're still trying to improve our soil fertility. So let's see what we can do. Just go ahead and knock it out. There you go.
the street on clouds instead of the concrete. I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way. Nothing can ruin my day, no matter what anyone does or say. I smile at fools. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop.
Alrighty, so we're making some progress. Not a ton of progress, but progress. And one of the things that I should have done, and actually try to do on a couple beds, is actually tarp your beds. One of the things you can do is during the off seasons, or when your bed is resting from getting ready for the next crop to go in it, you can just put a tarp over it, and that will really help alleviate a lot of this, some of the unwanted plants from growing, as well as help your bed to maintain the proper amount of moisture, and also help to accelerate just the worm activity in the soil. So that's something to keep in mind. But we had a lot of wind this past winter, and things just got to the point where it was just difficult keeping the tarps covered, or the tarps covered on the bed. So we're gonna have to clean some of that up too here. And this bed right here, things have just had grown so much. Right now, what I think is best to do is to actually use the rototiller here. We're trying to get to the point where we till less and less, and gradually no till in certain areas, but I do feel like less tillage is probably the best. But the overall thing is to grow food. Don't get too focused on no till if you're not really growing food. Just focus on growing food, and then you can make progress in different areas, and just don't get too caught up on ideology and doing things certain ways. Just find what works for you. But like I said, the main thing is to grow food. Well, while we were working, I was trying to get the rototiller going so I could do this bed right here, but something happened. Looks like the fuel line or something broke on it, and it's not really working right now. So I am not the most mechanically inclined person, and I'm not really sure how to get that fixed exactly. It's just not connecting the way it should. One of the rules that I'm trying to implement more here, I guess philosophies too, is to have at least two of every type of tool, and 3 if we can. Right now this is the only real tiller that we have right now, and it would be great if I would have been able to implement that rule with having another one, but I don't. So I'm just gonna have to work on either A, getting this one fixed, or B, getting another one while we get this one fixed. But it is what it is. But we got a lot of weeds that the ladies did a great job pulling these out over here. So we're gonna get this grass here, these big clumps, we're gonna take it to the chickens, and I bet they're gonna enjoy it. What do you think, Micah? You took off your Amish hat. Where's it at? You gonna help me take this grass over here to the chickens?
No.
That's not the right answer. You're supposed to be like, yes.
No, yes.
Oh, there we go. You changing it up? All right, let's do it.
No, yes.
Ooh, we also need to, it's getting pretty warm out here. I think we're gonna be in the 70s today, and we still have some things that are growing down here in our low tunnels. Lacie, could you, almost got caught up on that rake there. Good thing it's pointing in the right direction. Because one of the things I like to do is I try to remind the kids, and it looks like they did it here, is that when you're setting the rake down, if you're gonna set it down, it's best to set it up against something or right where it goes. But I don't like it when it is like that. Because if it's like that, somebody could fall right on it, get hurt, or you could just step on it, and then it would just kind of catapult and do that. So, good thing it was going the right direction. Did you put it down right?
I've had that happen.
He has. What does he have? What has happened to him?
So the rake was like this, and he didn't see it, and he stepped on it, and it hit him in the head.
Oh yeah, we try to avoid having that happen, don't we? Yep. All right, so if you and Mommy could uncover, we have some lettuce down here, while Micah and I are taking up the greens to the chickens.
Daddy, we both in a bowl.
You are? All right, here we go.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
And now there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on her skin, restoring everything within. Oh,
Well, you didn't even need my help, did you?
Nope.
Ah, growing up so much. Well, what do you think about being outside now and working outside? What's your favorite part of that?
Getting to go barefoot.
And you definitely are barefoot.
Yep.
Why do you like to go barefoot?
Because I can run faster than boots. That's one reason. And I like grounding.
I think one of my favorite things is being in the sunshine. It's been really, well, as you know, it's been raining a lot around here and it's been really dreary. But you know, there's just something about the sun and how it makes you feel and kind of recharges you. And it's really good for you. You get your vitamin D from the sun and you only need about 20 minutes exposure. That's one thing that I really enjoy about springtime is getting out in the sun and it's not so hot. Well, I think we have one more bed to uncover back here and then we'll be done with uncovering the stuff that's still growing. You're gonna do this one too, all by yourself?
Yep. Reaching for the grand. As willows align, we lose track of time. Head up high, now we climb.
Well, we definitely have lots of growing in here. I don't know how much edible lettuce we have growing in here, but I do see chickweed and dead nettle. There is lettuce and a couple other things growing in here. Maybe we don't want growing in here, but we don't want it to get too hot because that is whenever your lettuce turns bitter. It's whenever it gets hot and stays hot.
And it goes to seed.
Yes, Selah is correct. It will bolt and start producing flowers and go to seed. And then,
Like right
really, yes, perfect example right here, Selah. This one has started to develop little buds that are coming out. I don't know if you can see that. But on from here, oh, it gets all flowers and seeds and it is way bitter to eat. It almost burn your mouth, it's so bitter.
Since my tiller wasn't working, next I headed inside to research purchasing a new tiller. And after looking at all the reviews online, I decided on one. The Earthquake. And the name of it just sounded like it was going to be a good tiller. And thankfully they had one at my local hardware store. So we picked up one and brought it home. And I know some of you may be wondering, why are you tilling? For some people, they have this idea in mind that using a tiller is like the unpardonable sin for gardening. But I believe that we need to till less, and I think that there is a place for tilling. And especially if you're moving new ground and moving new earth or breaking new ground, a tiller can really be beneficial for doing so. So overall, I believe in less tillage because if you're just constantly tilling and tilling crop after crop after crop, yes, there are some really significant negative effects that go along with that. However, there can be some real benefits to tilling at times. So it's something that we're working on, and as you're starting, you just do what you can to get started. Don't get over fixated, as I said earlier, about a certain ideology with whatever it is that you're doing. Just do the best of what you can do. So I got that Earthquake, but I didn't use it right away. Before I could use it, I really needed to clean out our nesting box for our chickshaw that was right near a garden bed that I was going to be working on with the Earthquake. So I was cleaning it out and it was well overdue. The chicken manure was really caked on there and it was really crumbly. So I was thinking, hey, clean this out and actually you can use it in the garden because it's so old and it's been there so long. So we started cleaning it up. This was like a poop patty or a poop steak here. the roofing team helped me out. But they are so persistent to keep trying to get in this as I'm trying to clean it out. Throw them out and they go right back in. Maybe next time we'll just close the whole thing up. Can't get back in while I'm cleaning up like housekeeping. Get out of the hotel. Pecking me? Pecking me?
Okay, I'm making the beds now. Ew.
And then after we were done cleaning out the nesting boxes, I got started on prepping this new bed, and I had the opportunity to use the earthquake, but still not quite yet. Before I used the earthquake, I wanted to place out my cones for the size of the garden bed that we're going to be doing, as well as I needed to do some shaping up with it. And the tool that I did use for that is a Matic. And come to think of it, that tool, every time I look at it, it reminds me when I first started gardening. I didn't have a tiller at all. I did it all by hand using that Matic right there. So each time I see it, it does bring back those memories of just doing whatever I had to do. And kind of think of it, it's kind of what they did back in the day. They just used hand tools to do whatever they needed to do to garden, or maybe they had a little bit of more money and they had some oxen, a team of oxen to help them plow the fields and do what they needed to do to till. But you just use what you have to use. So after I shaped the bed up, brought out the earthquake, and we moved some dirt. And I must say, I'm really pleased with how this bed turned out. And the chickens, while they were in there for some time before, they really did a good job of adding manure, added some chicken feathers, and a number of other things that we added into the bed. It just kind of blended in very well. So I look forward to seeing what that garden area produces. And it's actually a bed, an area that I have for Lacie. So she's going to be able to grow whatever she wants to grow in there. So after we finished that bed, next we headed on down to the market garden. And this is where I gave Josiah his first opportunity to use the Kelvin cultivator. And it's so neat. Guys, there's something about us. We just like to use fire, use flame, blow stuff up. And Josiah really enjoyed using the flame weeder. And besides the fun of just using the flame, the Kelvin cultivator, flame weeder, really does a good job of just scorching out any unwanted seeds, plant seeds of plants that have sprouted and have seeds, and it keeps them from spreading out in your bed. So I really like using that tool for more than just the reason of fire. But after we got done with that, I did some broad forking, and I also took some of that chicken manure and spread it out in the garden bed before I came in and brought the earthquake in.
The further we move on from all those yesterdays, happiness gets nearer. The light that we see closing in so fast ahead, it's hope, it's getting clearer. The more I think of all the tough times we survived, the more it makes me smile.
But as I was using the earthquake in this bed, and as I was using it more and more, I was beginning to have some trouble with it. And one of the things that I was noticing is there's a big difference between that earthquake tiller and the mini cultivator that I had. And with the earthquake, it was breaking the ground up, but it was leaving big chunks. And with us having real tough clay in certain areas around the homestead, I don't like it for that. So I think because of the tines are so far apart compared to my mini cultivator, which they're a lot closer together, the earthquake doesn't quite break up the clods like the mini cultivator that I had. And another thing that I was not liking about the earthquake is it seems like it was digging down deeper than my mini cultivator. And since I'm trying to till less, and I'm not a huge fan of deep tilling. I really like to till on the surface and just kind of scratch, and like a tilther, that was a tool that there used to be out, and you just kind of scratch and blend the surface, and you're not doing deep, heavy tillage. So that was another thing that I was noticing about the earthquake that I didn't like. So right now the jury's kind of out on whether I'm going to continue to keep the earthquake or not, because there are just some things about it that I like, because I like that it really feels sturdy, it really feels like it's made well. However, the usage of it is not exactly what I feel like I'm looking for at this time. So we'll just kind of have to see. My dream would be to have something like the BCS or the Grillo, like our friend had when he came and tilled up some of our garden beds a couple years ago. So right now that's still a little bit not in the budget, but that would be my dream, to have one of those. I can just picture using one of those on the homestead. But maybe one day. But still have a lot of work to do. We're just gonna have to see if I keep the earthquake or not. But regretfully, during the winter, we didn't do a really good job of keeping up the garden, so there's a lot of work to do. And we also went ahead and picked up all the tarps that had blown all over the place during all the different high winds that we've had here recently, and we just got our work cut out for us. So we'll just have to see if we keep the earthquake or we move on to something else. But we really do have our work cut out for us. But hey, it's the new year, as I call it, because this is spring and this is the real new year, and this is a time when things are just, new life's coming, things are growing, and we got things to do. Well, got more work to do, but the day is over. Time to head to bed and start a new day. See you next time.